A case gets dismissed, a son walks free, and within days, he's shirtless on a courthouse sidewalk doing push-ups like he just won a Super Bowl. Here's the question nobody's asking loud enough. What happens when investigators are still watching, still logging, still building, and the person they're watching doesn't even realize it? Because that's exactly where Christian King Combs is right now. And this story is a lot bigger than one dismissed lawsuit.
Christian Combs allegedly found her a short time later and insisted she find him a place to sleep. She directed him to the yacht cinema, which was used as an extra sleeping area where he blocked her in, the suit states. Christian Combs allegedly began to touch her and took off his clothes. The suit states that his blank was blank and he grabbed her arms and was trying to force the plaintiff to perform, brains on him, the suit states.
In April 2024, a woman named Grace O'Marcahy filed a civil lawsuit that sent a visible shockwave through the already crumbling Combs legal situation. According to the suit, she had been hired as a steward on a yacht that Diddy had allegedly chartered back in December 2022. Her job was straightforward: serve food and drinks over a 12-hour shift. She was 25 years old. She allegedly believed the trip would be wholesome and family-oriented. What she reportedly walked into was something else entirely. According to the complaint, the environment on board was allegedly chaotic: figures from the entertainment industry coming and going, open drug use, and an atmosphere where the normal rules apparently did not apply. O'Marcahy alleged she began to suspect the alcohol had been tampered with after watching other women take a single drink and almost immediately lose their footing or collapse. Then, according to the suit, Christian Combs arrived on that yacht, reportedly visibly intoxicated, and within hours, her night allegedly took a turn she never could have anticipated. The complaint alleges he cornered her more than once, first reportedly in a makeshift recording studio on the yacht, where he allegedly grabbed her arm with enough force to leave visible bruising. She told the captain. According to her account, she was dismissed and told to get back to work. But then, allegedly, Christian found her again. She says she directed him to the yacht's cinema room to find a place to sleep, and that is when, according to the lawsuit, things allegedly escalated beyond anything she could have prepared for. The suit claims he blocked her from leaving, groped her, removed his clothing, and allegedly attempted to force her to perform a sexual act on him. She claims she fought him off. Someone reportedly walked into the room, and she was finally able to leave. And here's the detail that stood out to legal observers. Photographs allegedly showing bruises on O'Marcahy's arms were embedded directly inside the complaint itself. That is not standard practice. That is a deliberate, calculated move by her legal team, and it signals they came prepared. The suit also named Diddy as a co-defendant, accusing him of allegedly aiding and abetting his son's behavior and holding him liable as the leaseholder of the yacht. The captain, according to the suit, may have allegedly been paid to stay silent. She was reportedly excluded from the official statement process entirely. In her view, according to the filing, the cover-up was total.
To the lawsuit, O'Marcahy says that she had been working as a steward, providing food and drinks on that yacht for a 12-hour period, and she was 25 years old at the time. She believed that the trip would be a, quote, wholesome family excursion, but says it, quote, turned into a hedonistic environment, even describing rampant drug use amongst sex workers and celebrities who came on board. She believes that the alcohol on the yacht had been laced with drugs because she says women would have one drink and then almost immediately pass out or start.
Now here's where a lot of people read the situation completely wrong. A judge ultimately dismissed the case, and the moment that happened, a certain crowd started calling it a clean win for Christian. But that's not how any of this actually works. A civil dismissal does not make allegations disappear. It does not prevent a grand jury from picking the matter back up, and it absolutely does not mean that federal investigators who have spent over a year cross-referencing, flagging, and cataloging everything tied to the Combs organization across multiple jurisdictions are simply going to set that complaint aside and move on. O'Marcahy's account did not vanish from those files the moment the civil case closed. If additional witnesses surface, if the broader federal probe produces evidence that aligns with her account, that case can be revived. Dismissals are pauses, not pardons, and Christian's behavior in the months that followed did absolutely nothing to suggest he understands that distinction. When Diddy's criminal trial ended in a mixed verdict, convicted on 2 Mann Act prostitution-related charges, but acquitted on the RICO, racketeering, and sex trafficking counts, the courtroom reportedly exhaled. Diddy allegedly dropped to his knees, and outside, on a public sidewalk, Christian Combs proceeded to put on one of the most tone-deaf public displays anyone in legal circles had seen in recent memory. The video spread instantly, shirt off, push-ups on the pavement, jumping around, screaming, celebrating in front of cameras while federal investigations remained technically active, and his own alleged misconduct was still very much on record. But that wasn't the end of it.
December 28th, 2022. She says that Christian reportedly arrives on that yacht very intoxicated and then pressures her to take shots of tequila. She says that she did, that Christian allegedly tried to get her to drink more, and she tried to get her to drink more in the yacht's makeshift recording studio. And that's important, and I'll explain why in a second. The complaint reads, at this point, defendant C. Combs violently grabbed plaintiff's arm and began hurting her. He pulled plaintiff to the seat beside him and prevented her from getting up. And she says from there, she claims from there, that Christian allegedly kisses her neck and face as he gropes her legs, her breasts, her private areas. And according to her, she reportedly tells Christian, quote, excuse me, you don't touch my legs like that. I'll move my legs where I want to. If I want to do this, then I will. You don't touch my legs like that. Now, remember where I said this was happening, this recording studio? Well, the alleged assault was reportedly witnessed by Rodney Little Rod Jones. This is a music producer who had apparently accompanied Combs basically everywhere for a year while they were working on Combs' latest album, Love, Off the Grid. And we remember that Rodney Jones has filed his own separate lawsuit against Sean Combs and others. And he was saying that he was in this recording studio when this was going on, when Christian and O'Markey were there. And he might even have some audio that was recorded of this interaction.
She claimed that after telling the captain,
A second video surfaced not long after. This one reportedly showed Christian on camera, apparently pressuring his girlfriend, Raven Tracy, into twerking for the footage. According to people who watched it, she was visibly uninterested. He reportedly kept pushing. The internet noticed immediately, and the reaction from people who have spent careers watching how these cases develop was not laughter, it was alarm.
She tried to go back to work, but Christian ends up finding her and wants her to find him a place to sleep for the night in the yacht. So she takes him to the cinema room of the yacht, and that is when she claims Christian stopped her from leaving, groped her, took off all of his clothes, and tried to force her to perform oral sex on him. Now, she says she was allegedly able to fight him off. Someone walks into the room, and then she was able to leave. And she said when she reported this to the captain, according to her, the captain berates her. And she alleges that the captain may have even been paid off by Sean Combs to keep quiet about what happened. And I will tell you what's really interesting about this complaint, embedded in the complaint are photographs that purport to be O'Markey's arms with bruises on them. And that is really interesting. You don't usually see that in a complaint like this. Now, she's not only suing Christian Combs, like I mentioned before, for all those different causes of action, but she is also suing Sean Combs too. You see, Sean Combs is named as a defendant because she accuses him of aiding and abetting Christian's behavior, as well as having premises liability because he was the leaseholder of the yacht. Premises liability means that you have a duty to keep people on.
Those who have watched this kind of machinery for decades were direct about what that footage meant. Behavior like that, captured on camera in front of a courthouse while federal probes are still running, is not just embarrassing. It is, in the view of legal commentators, potential evidence of a behavioral pattern. Prosecutors build narratives around exactly this kind of material. Judges are not sheltered from public record, and for someone who allegedly had his own civil complaint trailing him at that precise moment, going viral for all the wrong reasons was genuinely the worst possible timing. And that's where it gets even messier, because Christian didn't stop there.
Oh, Diddy's turning gray behind bars. Who gives a flying fig about his hair? I don't care. I want this to be about the victims. That's what I want. That's how I perceive it. And I have dealt with so many victims. I've had victims that could never have a romantic relationship with a man after that. That feeling of helplessness, you can't fight back. And you just, then after, people may not believe you. If you're lucky enough to have children, it affects how you raise them. You know, like my fiance was murdered shortly before our wedding. You think I don't know where my children are right now? You don't think I'll look at Life 360 50 times a day? When my husband leaves to go out of town, I'm like, well, he could die. That's just my reality.
That's trauma. Yeah.
Same thing with these.
The situation with 50 Cent started when Christian performed at a concert and attempted to launch a bad boy chant from the stage. The crowd's response was reportedly close to silence. Someone filmed it. 50 Cent reposted it publicly and mocked the moment with absolutely no restraint. The internet erupted. Rather than letting it fade, Christian went to X, formerly Twitter, and allegedly posted that if he ever saw 50 Cent in person, he would physically confront him. Then he released a diss track taking aim at his father and others who had been publicly critical of him. But the track didn't land the way he intended. 50 Cent fired back directly, pointing to Christian's pending assault allegations and framing the irony out loud that someone facing those kinds of reported accusations was out here issuing public threats online. The whole exchange played out in front of millions of people, and what it revealed wasn't toughness or loyalty. It revealed someone operating entirely on impulse while the walls around him were still quietly being built.
The defense, meanwhile, argued that women were willing participants in fulfilling Combs' sexual desires and that all the encounters we heard about in this trial were consensual. And there you see, after the verdict, Diddy's family celebrating on the streets in New York City, doing push-ups on the sidewalk while others danced. They said a few words.
Then, in late December 2025, Christian and his brother Justin dropped a new docuseries set to release on the Zeus network sometime in 2026. The clip showed both brothers watching news coverage of their father's trial. The series is reportedly being positioned as an unfiltered look at their personal journey through one of the most scrutinized legal cases in entertainment history. And look, on one level, you can understand why they'd want to speak for themselves. Every headline about their lives has been shaped by court filings and media framing. But the timing here is hard to overlook. This announcement landed after the guilty verdict, after sentencing, and squarely in the middle of Christian's very public meltdown with 50 Cent. Whether the docuseries is a genuine attempt to humanize their experience or the most calculated PR move of the moment is something only time will answer. What matters is that it puts Christian on camera, on record, under a microscope that only gets sharper the longer this entire saga runs. And right now, very little of what Christian has said publicly has worked in his favor.
King clown. That's some real clowns. Man, listen to me, man. Let me just tell you something, bro. And this is real talk. He's still going to jail. You happy because he didn't get the RICO and the racketeering, so he gets to keep his money. He gets to keep his inheritance. He gets to keep all the shit that they stole over the years from other people. That's why he happy. Him and Puff wasn't that tight. They used to go at it. People close by would tell that story. Yeah, that's still his father. But you and I both know that extra shit right out there, come on, man. Outside the court, the judge might give him extra time for this and his antics. Puff not coming home, bro. And you got to realize at 50-something years old, he'll come out to get his Social Security or better. How old is he? Born in 69? We're like 54, 55, something like that. He'll come out and get his Social Security. He had to do 85% of his time. That right there, King Kong or Christian, acting like that in front of the courts, in front of everybody. They be taking these judges back information. These fucking the officers, they got people around there looking at that. There were victims in this case, bro.
While all of this was unfolding, Sean Combs was living an existence almost unrecognizable from the empire he spent 3 decades building. On October 3, 2025, he stood before Judge Arun Subramanian and received a sentence of 50 months, 4 years and 2 months, along with a $500,000 fine and 5 years of supervised release. He reportedly cried in open court. He said he had lost his way. He apologized to Cassie, to his children, to domestic violence survivors. He reportedly described himself as broken to his core. From the courtroom, he was transferred to FCI Fort Dix in New Jersey. His first reported assignment there was the laundry room, washing, folding, and sorting for the institution. This is the reality for a man who once had personal stylists, once flew exclusively private, and was once estimated to be worth close to $1 billion. Then word came out that he had transitioned to a new role, working in the chapel's media library, helping fellow inmates access religious materials, films, and books. According to reports, inmates baked him a commissary cake. His projected earliest release date, contingent on good behavior and program completion, is currently sitting at June 4, 2028. The contrast between Sean Combs quietly shelving books in a prison chapel and his son screaming threats on social media is almost too stark to describe in a single sentence. One of them is fighting to survive what came after. The other hasn't figured out that what comes after is still being decided.
When do you grow up, man, and be who you really are? Because you ain't no gangster. You don't know what a gangster is. You a prankster. You a prankster, son. Stop that. I think when the people heard the mixtape and they called him out on it, and they was checking him and they was trying to check him, but they lost, bruh. They don't have no guidance. The dude who's supposed to be doing, I don't know if he's security or whatever like that. Man, what the fuck is you doing out here like this? He gets on the ground and start doing push-ups up with him. Bruh, for real? Man, put your shirt on and get your ass back in that damn car. Stop acting like you stupid. Act like you got some sense. That's when they making the dollar make them, bruh. The dollar is making them. What you happy about? You gotta realize they know his daddy's still going to jail. They happy because they feel like the government doesn't have a right to mess with nobody's assets at this time. The verdict on the RICO, non and void. Nothing. Racketeering, nothing. And I guess it was some kind of, what was the other charge? Sex or something like that? Not sex. They got the sex charges, but the RICO, the racketeering, and the kidnapping. The kidnapping, coercion, kidnapping, all this like that. All that was non-void. It went nowhere. It went nowhere. But you still partying? Your dad about to do.
But here's the part about Diddy's time at MDC, Brooklyn, that people tend to gloss over. Before Fort Dix, there was the Mediterranean Detention Facility, widely regarded as one of the most brutal federal holding facilities in the country. According to reports, Diddy allegedly refused to eat prison food, believing it had been tampered with. He reportedly appeared terrified, unable to sleep, convinced he was being targeted. According to accounts from people reportedly close to him, there was even allegedly an incident where he claims someone held a blade to his throat while he slept, an account that was reportedly raised during his sentencing hearing, apparently in an effort to get the judge to show some degree of mercy. It's unverified and disputed by some who have questioned the details, but the picture painted of a man who once commanded rooms, now reportedly sleeping with one eye open in a federal cell, is a long way from the red carpet.
And tired of niggas speaking on the family. Niggas claiming brothers, but they can't be. This Bible might come in handy. This Bible might come in handy. This one I know Jesus Christ the answer. Sit down if you can't stand me. They wanna stop the kids like a plan. They don't understand, but they stand me. Tell them give me grace, even this.
He ain't no real king. He could make her own earn her keep. He ain't no real king, man. Come on, man. These kids is clowns out here, bro. You know, it don't have really nothing to do with his father being in jail or nothing like that. You know, these guys right here, they always wanted to be, you know, instead of going and doing something positive in the world and being somebody positive in the world, they live this lifestyle of spoiled rich kids and been given enough to do nothing instead of being given something enough to do something. They've been given enough to do nothing instead of being given enough to do something. There's a difference. So never had to work a day in his life. All he know is the hip-hop scene.
Now, enter 50 Cent's documentary. The project has been pulling back layers on Diddy's alleged conduct for years, and the series reportedly includes never-before-seen footage, interviews with people from Diddy's orbit, and, notably, 2 jurors from the criminal trial speaking publicly for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict. According to reports, those jurors described the relationship between Diddy and singer Cassie in complex terms, with one juror apparently noting that domestic violence was not among the official charges before them. It's a reminder that the verdict wasn't a complete exoneration, it was a partial one, shaped by what prosecutors were and were not able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in that specific courtroom at that specific time.
Anything for attention right now, man. Anything for attention, you know, and if they want to make you believe that they happy, they want to fool you to believe that they happy, bruh. He's an attention seeker. I look back on all the things that all his sons had been doing. Well, just him, Justin, because Quincy ain't his son. That's Al B. Sure's son. King Kong has been the reckless of all of them that came to represent him. Did some mixtape with Kanye West, dissing the witnesses, threatening them with a rifle outside the courtroom with his shirt off, doing jumping jacks, screaming victory and all that. Talking about they going on tour, the reunion tour, whatever. Then having his girl twerk or trying to get his girl to twerk or whatever.
And that brings us to the appeal. Diddy's legal team filed with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, arguing the sentencing was disproportionately harsh and that the Mann Act convictions should be reversed or at minimum reduced. Oral arguments are reportedly scheduled for April 9, 2026. Prosecutors have already filed their opposition, asserting that the conviction and the sentence both hold up on solid legal ground. If the appeal fails, Diddy remains at Fort Dix until at least 2028. If it somehow moves in his favor, the entire legal framework around this case shifts again. But here's what is worth understanding. Appeals courts pay attention to patterns of conduct that extend beyond the original record. Every public move Christian makes, every threat issued online, Every viral incident that circulates and gets logged becomes part of the broader context surrounding the Combs name. Judges are not isolated from the world outside their chambers. They read, they observe, and recklessness by someone this closely associated with an active appeal is never invisible. So here's where everything lands. The Grace Omer K lawsuit was dismissed, but dismissal is not absolution. The RICO charges against Diddy didn't hold, but acquittal is not exoneration. On paper, the Combs family has notched a handful of legal outcomes that could be spun as wins, but there is a documented gap between not convicted and cleared. And according to people who track these cases professionally, Christian Combs doesn't appear to grasp how wide that gap actually is. Every viral video, every public threat, every impulsive social media post is a data point. And investigators don't necessarily need a single smoking gun, they need a story that holds together. And Christian keeps adding chapters. Sean Combs reportedly said in open court that he is the person his son most resembles. His son reportedly stood up and said the same thing about himself. The question that nobody has fully answered yet is whether Christian sees where that road actually ends, or whether he's going to have to find out firsthand. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Christian is genuinely unaware of how all of this looks, or does he simply not care?